right, hello wine-drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday, and it is champagne season here at the Wine Watch. We're getting ready to stock our coffers full of all kinds of bubbly from all over the world, because today they make great sparkling wines, not just in Champagne, but in California and Spain. They call it Cava, and as long as it's method champenoise, that's the only thing we require. Well, we do have a little bit of Prosecco, but hey, it's popular. I mean, I don't drink it, but other people seem to like it. And this light Charmat method sparkling wine from Italy is somewhat refreshing, but I think it's better mixed with peach nectar or with orange juice is what I'll bring it home for if we're going to have mimosas or something like that. But great sparkling wines, great method champenoise sparkling wines, take a long time to make. And LVMH, one of the biggest companies out there today, making luxury products, not just champagnes, but purses and all kinds of other things. Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy is the parent name company, and they own some great champagne properties. Moet Chandon, the most famous with their Dom Perignon. Veuve Clicquot added to the lineup. Champagne Krug, Dom Ruinart, the oldest champagne house, and of course, they've got some partners in this country with Chandon from Napa. And that's what we started out with tonight, the Riche, which is a new wine. It's got a higher level of dosage, going after the entry-level sparkling wine drinker, but still a finely made product. And this wine is a little bit sweeter. You notice that fruitiness in the nose, a good amount of peach and apple, kind of tangerine, citrus, a really unique nose to this wine of all the champagnes on the table. And we had all of these poured in their own glass, and they had a chance to open up. You really notice the difference with a great champagne like a Krug or a 2002 Dom Ruinart after the wine has had a chance to breathe. Yes, that's right. Sparkling wine champagnes, just like any other great wines, need a chance to open up in the glass. And do not serve them freezing cold, because you do not notice the little subtle nuance in this wine. This wine, really nice, some pretty floral notes showing up in this. And even though it's got residual sugar, a nice freshness at the finish. A good little wine at $16 and change on this offering. The Etoile. This wine was interesting to taste next to Krug because you smelled it and you smelled the Krug. Obviously different, but you really notice the complexity in this Etoile, putting it next to a wine like Krug. Notes of ginger, spice, and almond, showing that yeast catalysis. This wine's aged for 5 years on the lees. Wow. Usually a blend of 6 to 8 different vintages. They've been making sparkling wine from these vineyards since 1978. So the vineyards have got a little age to them. They've got a little more knowledge on how, to produce sparkling wines here as opposed to in Champagne, because the soils are very different, but you still get that same complexity. Really interesting to taste this $25.75 sparkler next to the $200 Krug. Well, $178 on this offer, which had a lovely aroma, smoky, kind of nutty aromas, tree fruit with a mushroomy, earthy quality that you get from Krug and other champagnes that have 20 years worth of wines in the bottles. That's right, it takes 20 years to make Krug, and today there is a little tiny code on the bottom, which you couldn't see without a magnifying glass, but you can log onto the Krug website today, punch that little code in there, and they'll tell you exactly which 20 vintages, which batch of Krug your bottle comes from. I'd love to see the disgorgement date on the bottles. That also gives you an indication as to how old the non-vintage Bruts are. Obviously, the vintage Cuvées, like the vintage Veuve Clicquot, you are going to notice how old they are because it's got the vintage on the label. Anyways, this Krug, one of my favorite champagnes. If money is no object, I'm drinking the Clos de Menil or the vintage Krug, but I'll tell you, the multi-vintage blend for me is every bit as good. Just because a champagne costs 3 or 4 times the price doesn't make it exponentially better. The care and the complexity that is in this wine is just, to me, as pleasing as any of the other wines made at Krug. One of my favorite champagne houses. All right, Veuve Clicquot Vintage was up next. A lot of people in the room said, this is Veuve Clicquot? Well, they're used to tasting the yellow label, which today is, and they make so much of that. You can find it in Costco, 7-Eleven. I mean, pretty much anywhere. And it's not bad. There's no bad champagne, unless they've stored it improperly, which happens sometimes in these stores that don't sell wine as their focus in a place like Florida, which can be a little hot. And champagne, because of the pressure in the bottle, can be susceptible to storage much easier in a shorter period of time than other wines. But this 2004 vintage, I really liked. I thought it had a lot of nice smoky, nutty aromas to the tree fruit, some mushroomy notes there as well to the fresh dough, and really nice complexity, a very elegant, more restrained style. And wow, it was really, I thought, a very good bottle of champagne. Maybe not quite as fruity as the other Veuve Clicquot, not quite as sweet, but still had some nice complexity. It took a little while to open up, as vintage champagnes do. The Ruinart Blanc de Blanc, Ruinart makes a very fresh style of champagne, pear and apple fruit with lemon zest and ginger, notes of white flower there, the old bottle, thus the oldest champagne house. They're trying to pay a tribute to their heritage and the bottles they used to use, but these are horrible bottles for wine cellars. We recommend just drinking up your Ruinart. Hey, when they release champagne, they've already aged it for you. It is ready to drink. This wine's got a lovely, bright style here on the palate with a fine, creamy mousse, a long finish, echoing that ginger spice and pretty floral notes at the end. Excellent juice. The rosé, we really like it. It's got pretty red berry fruits here, wild strawberry, rose petal, kind of red licorice notes as well. Smooth and creamy texture on the palate. I like rosés because they tend to have more fruit. They tend to go better with food. Not cupcakes. I don't know what these people at Ruinart were thinking, giving us cupcakes to pair with these wines. You know, cupcakes, not so much the cake, but the icing is all sugar. And you don't want to pair a food that is sweeter than the wine. That's one of the cardinal rules with pairing food and wine. The wine must be at least as sweet as the food, and the cupcakes infinitely sweeter. Even though some people liked them, I thought there were some complementary flavors with some of the cupcakes. But for me, my champagne was better without the cupcake rather than with it. Anyways, this rosé had a really nice freshness to it and a really long finish. I love the rosés from Ruinart, a little deeper in color, really rich. And then the Dom Ruinart 2002, a great vintage for champagne. This wine had a lovely complexity on the nose, 100% Chardonnay, one of the greatest values in Tête de Cuvée. This is their Tête de Cuvée champagne. It's less than any other Tête de Cuvée almost. We had it on sale for $99, the 98 vintage. We're waiting for the 2002, some crazy deal to come out. Maybe it will. But this is the time of year when you see some crazy deals on champagne. So keep your ear to the ground. If we get anything on Ruinart, we will definitely pass it along to you, our wine-drinking people. This wine, lovely toasty almondy notes, fresh tree fruit, apples, pears, quince, really rich on the tongue. This wine had a lovely creaminess to the mousse there. That's what you get when you got 10 years of aging, which is what it takes to get this wine to market. Lovely layered finish. This wine just continued to evolve the entire evening. The sign of an outstanding vintage, the sign of an outstanding wine. This wine, most excellent. My favorite wine on the table tonight, other than the Krug. All right, that's what we had to drink at our LVMH champagne tasting. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying, remember, always drink the good stuff first.